My name is Veronica Mendizabal Joffre. I am a Senior Gender and Social Development Specialist with the Asian Development Bank, and I will be your host for this morning for what promises to be a very powerful session. As ASEF celebrates its 20th anniversary, it is a perfect moment to reflect on the progress made towards the low-carbon transition, but also on the role of women and the contribution of women to this process. Today, we're going to explore what have we done, what is the progress made, and how can we continue this momentum forward. We are going to begin with high-level dialogue featuring two exceptional women leaders. We're really happy to have you with us today. And they will share with us their experience and their perspective on the progress and challenges towards sustainability and gender equality in the energy transition process. The conversation will be followed by a panel discussion where we will hear from experiences from the ground on how women are shaping the energy landscape across Asia and the Pacific. Let us start. To guide us through this first session, it is my pleasure to invite to the stage Samantha Hung, Director for Gender Equality at the Asian Development Bank, who will be moderating this conversation. Sam. And our two distinguished guests, Honorable Mona Lisa Di Malanta, Chairperson and CEO of the Energy Regulatory Commission of the Philippines, and Ibu Kamia Handayani, Executive Vice President of Energy Transition and Sustainability at PT PLN Persero, Indonesia. Thank you, Ibu Kamia.
But maybe, oh, here we go. Start again. Thank you very much, Veronica, and good morning, everyone. It's a real pleasure to be here. I know it's the last day of ASEF, but hopefully, you know, we're saving the best for last. And I really look forward to hosting part of this session today. We've been involved with ASEF for many years, always contributing a gender session. And, you know, 20 days of ASEF is really a celebration of the journey also of how we've been learning and growing in the way we've been integrating gender equality in our work. So as Veronica said, it's also a time for us to reflect and celebrate on what we've achieved with gender in the sector, but also how far we still have to go. So I'm really excited to be moderating this first part. And I'm really excited that we've been able to bring two very senior women leaders in the sector. We're privileged to have you with us to share our thoughts. Mona Lisa, I think you call yourself Mona, is that right? And Ibu Kamia. So let's get straight into it. We've got about, I think, 40 minutes or so for the first part. So I'll start with asking you, Mona Lisa. I mean, you clearly have a long 2 decades, I think, of leadership in the sector, including as chairperson of the National Renewable Energy Board, and now your current role as chairperson and CEO of the Energy Regulatory Commission. So I'm sure in this time you've observed quite a lot of change. So maybe you could share with us, to start with, what do you think have somewhat been the significant shifts in the sector in terms of women's participation and leadership, and in the Philippines, but also if you have perspectives on the broader region. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Samantha, and good morning, everyone. I hope you are able to hear me. Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you. First off, we'd like to thank ADB for this invitation. Always good to come back to ASEF. I've been participating on and off for the last couple of years, and it's always a good thing to meet and reconnect with people in this exercise. So, but first time for me to sit in a panel on gender. So this is this feels like first day of school for me. So, but to answer the question, definitely we've seen a lot of movement on the participation of women over the last 2 decades in the Philippines. In particular, when I started my journey in the sector when I was 5 years old, 20 years ago. Um, uh, I was in a firm, I was in a law firm. We were a group of young associates assigned to study the new law then that deregulated the power sector in the Philippines. We were a group of 3 young associates, all women, but we often found ourselves the only women in the room, in the meeting room. And our task was mainly to take notes and to get coffee. And we were lawyers. We were lawyers, and that was our assignment in that room full of men and men who were engineers or also lawyers leading their boards. But today, I'm very happy to report that that's no longer the case in many meeting rooms that I attend. Not only because I've also occupied different roles in that room, but also because I think women in general, at least in the Philippines, have really owned their roles in this journey, in the energy transition journey. In the Energy Regulatory Commission, as you can see, there are 5 of us and there are 3 women in the commission. This is not new. In fact, a few slides from here, I'm messing up my slides, but a few slides from here, you will see that out of the in the history of the commission since 2001, when it was formed, the leadership of the commission was mainly composed of women. So I think this is a testament to a recognition, in fact, on the contribution of women in the energy sector. There are various roles that we play as members of the Energy Regulatory Commission. I will not go through this now, but maybe just to emphasize the gravity of the role of the Commission, we regulate a 3.3 trillion peso industry, currently valued at 3.3 million pesos. But over the next decade or so, if all the plans of the Department of Energy, the policy-making body, would be realized, we are seeing this industry growing to a 31 trillion peso industry. And it's still the role of the Energy Regulatory Commission, mainly headed by women, to regulate this very important sector in the country. But today, in general, I think this is for going now to the macro level. We still see limited participation of women in the sector. We still see only 1/5 of the roles being occupied by women, even if in, I think, country by country there are disparities. And I think in the Philippines there is a higher percentage of the workforce being occupied or at least participated in by women in the RE sector. And this is why my bias is really on the renewable space. In the RE sector, we can see that not only is it allowing more inclusivity in terms of technologies, in terms of resources, contributing to the power mix, but also for women to contribute to that mix in the growth of the energy sector as a whole. We see 32% of that share in the workforce being occupied by women in the renewable energy space. This is data that we got from the ASEAN Center of Energy, where it showed that only 8% of ASEAN women are employed in the conventional. So from RE, this is now the conventional energy space. So there's still very huge room to grow in this space. This is what I was sharing earlier, that in the history of the Energy Regulatory Commission, the first chairperson of the commission is actually a woman, and then succeedingly, women were also appointed to the highest post in the commission. Today, as I mentioned, there are 3 of us in the commission who are women, but also in the managerial positions, 6 out of our 7 directors in the Energy Regulatory Commission are women. So out of our workforce, out of the around 500 positions that we have, more than half are occupied by women in this position. So I think we see in the Philippines at least the mark that is being made by women contributing to the growth of the energy sector. So I think if we see that the Philippine energy industry is growing, I'd like to I'd like to say that women can claim part of that growth, significant part of that growth, because we contribute not just in the usual or the typical traditional roles that's expected of women, but there are women lawyers, increasingly more women engineers going out to the fields, going up the polls here in the Philippines. And we continue to expand the role for women in the sector. So I won't go through the other slides. I think it's better if we open these items for discussion, but maybe to close this off, just to say that we can no longer, going back to 20 years ago, where the role of women is an oh by the way or a nice to have. I think today it's clearly recognized that the involvement, the contribution of women can no longer be ignored if we are to grow this sector and realize the promise of this sector to the economies that we all contribute in. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mona. And you see, I think you've got a very positive reaction. That was really, really inspiring. Thank you so much for grounding us in some of the IRENA statistics are very powerful. And I think even though renewables, it is true that it's very encouraging. But even within renewables, the challenge is always the technical roles, right? So it's really impressive to see your 3 women leadership, and also that you've got this pipeline, because often that's a challenge. So I'm sure we'll have time to dig into more of this later, and there will be opportunity for questions. So please think about your questions. But I'd like to now turn to Ibu Kamia, who, as many of us know, Indonesia is also going through a significant energy transition. And we're seeing that women are stepping more into leadership, and ADB has been quite happy to be able to support that in whatever way we can. So in your current role as Executive Vice President of Energy Transition and Sustainability for PLN, a leading state-owned enterprise, can you tell us how you've seen the role of women evolve over the time you've been there, and any specific initiatives that PLN has championed to help make that happen? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, first of all, for ADB. For the invitation for PLN to share on this important deep dive workshop. For me, it is the 3rd time in SF. The first one actually already back in 2009. And the second one is during the COVID, so it was online sessions. And happy to go back to Manila to share in this session. So maybe I would like to introduce first to PLN for you who probably doesn't know PLN yet. So PLN is a state-owned electricity company in Indonesia. It's manage the end-to-end process in electricity, including generations, transmissions, and also distributions of electricity. We are quite large organization, so we have around 52,000 employees across Indonesia. And probably I will start with sharing why we try to advance gender equality and also inclusive workplace. And I would like to share 3 things that support us in doing this. First of all, the commitment from our top management. So we are grateful that we have our top management. Our CEO is currently male, but he is really committed, not only him, but also the previous CEO. So back in 2021, we have published our statement of support to UN Women Empowerment Principles, and published it under the UNGC platform. And then internally, we also developed several policies to ensure that this commitment, this top management commitment is really implemented in our operational activities across PLN groups. And of course, with this commitment and also with the governance that I will explain in the next slide, it's not enough. If you want really to have gender equality and inclusions in our business operations, we have to make it as a culture, as a core values in our organization. So that's why we 2 years ago, we established the Gender Academy. So this is the platform that we would like to invite all PLN employees to learn, to understand the importance of gender mainstreaming and inclusive workplace, and to become the culture in all PLN employees. So it's already at least 7 batches of training has been organized involving more than 2,000 PLN talent or employee. So here I would like to share that governance is really important. I think ADB is one of our role model as organizations who has a very good leadership in gender mainstreaming and inclusive workplace. So in PLN, we also have a structured governance for gender empowerment, for women empowerment and gender equality, but also we have a task force, so-called Sri Kandi task force. So this is the task force that support the structural organization, but also not internally supporting, but also external support the external or the community around or the people around surroundings our business operations. So this is the role of Sri Kandi. And beside that, I think the most important things that the commitment from our management is that putting in every roles of a BOD -1 responsibilities, putting one specific line, mentioning that all the BOD -1 has to include or integrate gender mainstreaming into their strategy, policy, and implementation. So for example, I'm as an Executive Vice President of Energy Transition and Sustainability. In every decision that I make, I have to include gender mainstreaming into my decision. So this is apply not only for me, but for all the senior leaders in PLN. It is mentioned in their job and responsibilities. So this is something that support how gender mainstreaming and inclusive workplace is advancing in PLN. I think Sri Kandi is quite distinct. IDB has been supporting Sri Kandi it's not only in PLN, so Sri Kandi is actually a task force that initiated by the SOE, the Ministry of SOE, Ministry of State-Owned Enterprise. So all of the SOE has this task force, including PLN. So the good things about Sri Kandi is not only supporting us internally, but they also go into the community level. So there are some programs and initiatives across all Indonesia, because Sri Kandi is not only formed at the headquarters of PLN, but also in all business operations in PLN across Indonesia. So that's why there are so many programs and initiatives that is carried out by Sri Kandi. I think in this slide we only show some of them. And what is the role of women? Yeah, so we already seen statistic from Miss Mona Lisa on the share of women in energy sector, and PLN is almost the same. Yeah, we only have 21%, and globally there is 20%. 20% and PLN slightly 1% larger compared to the global stat. But it keep increasing, although it's a slight increase. In 2022, we have 19.8%, and then last year we increased to 21%. And also the same in terms of managerial positions. We still less represented, yeah, compared to the total percentage of women. I think we can talk about the challenges later in the challenges why the presentation in the managerial position is still less than the total representations of women, percentage of women. So it's only 16% by 2024, and but also it's increased also in terms of capacity development. So the numbers of women having more educations in master and PhD program fully funded by PLN and other scholarship bodies is increasing from year to year as well. And these are some projects and also initiative that involve and empower women, because we see women as key actors actually in energy transitions. So we would like to have impacts in our program and our projects, not only in terms of technical or in terms of the business for PLN itself, but also how it encourage women to also participate more in of our energy transitions initiative. Those are some projects also supported by ADB and also other development banks. And we also have, we also support micro and small medium industries that interestingly, 52% of them are actually led by women. So this is something that I would like to share. Thanks also to the support from ADB. We have achieved the EDGE certification, which is the global certification for gender equality and inclusive workplace. Actually, we done benchmarking probably 2 years ago with ADB, right, with Ibu Veronica, because ADB is already in the front for the gender, for the EDGE certifications, and then we prepare it for about 1 year, and then January this year we got the certifications. This is acknowledge our result, our effort, yeah, as the result of our effort in the past 4 years in trying to advance gender equality and inclusive workplace in PLN. And it has, of course, many benefits from PLN, including increasing our credibility and transparency. Gender always or often related to financing. If you have familiarity with ADB financing, ADB always try to include, to link between financing and gender activity. So with this certification, of course, we increase our credibility for our investors, and also it's aligned with our own commitment. And with this certification, we also learn what kind of improvement that we still need, yeah, to better improve further our gender equality and inclusive workplace initiative. Yeah, I think I will stop here and give the floor back to Sam. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ibu Kamia. That was, I think, well, first of all, congratulations on the EDGE certification. We've been really pleased to work with PLN and support various gender equality. Yeah, it was a real milestone, but we've been really pleased to be part of that and support that. And that's really just like another step in your journey. I think your presentation and what you shared is a really good example of how you can really institutionalize a gendered approach throughout the organization at all different levels. At ADB, we often like to try to say that we make gender equality part of our DNA. And that's really what you are trying to do. You know, anyone in PLN at whatever level has to touch on these issues at some. So that's very, very impressive. But I just wanted to ask you a follow-on question, though. This is amazing what you've achieved, but there must still be challenges. So what are the remaining challenges, particularly from the area that you cover?
Yeah, so if we can also put up the slide. So the challenges.
Can we bring back the slides, please?
Yeah. So it's also related to the statistic that we already, Bu Mona Lisa already shared, yeah, that the availability of women in this field is also limited. So we do our recruitment process is actually already considered gender responsive according to the assessment from ZIZ. But the availability of talents to be recruited in this field is still very limited. So we also visited campus universities, yeah, direct shopping for talents, both male and female, to be recruited. But yeah, at the end, the numbers of women is still limited in this field. And energy transition is actually not only people who do the in the field of energy transitions has to have understanding not only on one specific topic, but also need to have a blended understanding. Yeah. For example, Bu Mona Lisa is a lawyer, yeah, but you also knows on other things like financing, technology, and everything. So this is, of course, this will need more capacity building, yeah, on both female and male on this cross-sectoral interdisciplinary skills. So in the next step, to address these challenges, we would like to strengthen our inclusive workplace efforts. We already certified by age, but of course we want to follow ADB leadership in this case. We also want to move to the next level of age certification, which is the MOVE level. We hope to get it in the next 2 years. We will do the preparations, improve our capability, improve our capacity, our strategy, policy, and etc. So we will be able to keep moving forward with this initiative. And then how to our human resource department actually already mapped women talent, and actually there are 2 categories of women talent in PLN. One category is they are willing and they are motivated to pursue their career further, to put themselves in managerial positions. I really like your sharing about how women really well represented in ERC, the Philippines. So that many women in PLN also want to pursue their careers further, but there is also another category that they, for various reasons, they don't want to pursue managerial position in PLN. So they are quite okay with the current position. So for these 2 categories, of course, there will be 2 different approaches. So that's why we launch initiative, targeted mentoring and coaching programs. We have to treat differently between 2 categories. We have to, for the second category who do not want to develop their careers, probably there are some barriers in terms of, for example, the support system or something else. So we really need to have different approach. And for the other category who really want to pursue it, so we also need to support them to pursue what they really want. And the other one is that we have established a so-called sustainability maturity level, and under the sustainability mat lab, we have indicators for gender. So this is to assess how each PLN business unit, how is the maturity of PLN business unit in terms of gender mainstreaming. And it has become part of their key performance indicators. I think you know that if it is already linked to KPI, then everyone will try to meet this KPI even beyond, because it will link also to their remuneration, right? The compensation that is given to the company. So we are trying to push business unit at all levels until the grassroots levels to putting gender mainstreaming into their agenda. So one of the indicators that we put under the gender gender mainstreaming indicator is that they have to have a gender focal point. Why? At this moment, we still need this gender focal point because it is not yet become part of our DNA until the grassroots level. Yeah, probably in the holding level, in the corporate level, it's already there. But we have 52,000 employees across Indonesia, so we need still time to really integrate this value into our DNA for every single employee. So at this moment, we still need GFP for ensuring to do monitoring and evaluations of gender, implementation of gender activities in every business unit, but later align with the improvement of the maturity of the sustainability or gender mainstreaming in business unit. Probably we can consider to not having this anymore because it's already part of the business as usual. So those are some challenges, and the next point that we try. Back to you.
Thank you very much. It was very interesting to sort of hear about the very sort of nuanced approach that you're taking, and that, I think that in itself reflects the fact that it is on your radar. Like your HR is actually wanting to understand what the barriers are, where women are at different stages, and create both an enabling environment, but also paths upwards. And maybe just for the benefit of people in the room, so Vikamir earlier mentioned Shrikandi, which is this network of women across state-owned enterprises. ADB has been trying to support building a pipeline of women across SOEs in Indonesia by rolling out our leadership training program for women across SOEs in partnership with Srikanti. And that's been linked also to partnership that we have with the Ministry of SOEs, which is also has their own commitment to move women up. So through that, it's like bringing the pieces of the puzzle together to help provide a pipeline of women that also are ready to step up when required. Okay, so moving back to the Philippines. So the Philippines, at an institutional level across government and policy, has actually also been a leader by having a very well-established approach to gender development across all sectors, including the energy sector, which would obviously apply to your role. But from the perspective of a regulator and coming at policy from that angle, what do you think are the gaps, and where can we sort of move forward? Thank you.
I was it was actually very interesting to see that particular slide of Camilla, because I was also sort of checking our boxes in terms of the challenges and the what was the other category, challenges, and then the next steps. Yes, because I would think that we're also, it's the same menu, I think, for us here in the Philippines, but maybe of different gradation. So but it's still the same menu. We face the same challenges, for example, on the pipeline of encouraging more students, more children to go into STEM, more women to go into STEM. Maybe for the other disciplines, it's easier to encourage. Like in law schools, in particular, the population is actually now dominated by women. Women in the classrooms in law schools comprise more than 50% of the population. But I think for STEM, it remains to be a challenge for us. And it's true what you said earlier, Samantha, that the issue is really not maybe our issue is not as much as today, but how do we keep that momentum going? Which means we need to continue to train women to be comfortable in the spotlight, comfortable taking that seat at the table, and really contributing to nation building. I think in a way it's easier, in a way easier for us in the Philippines, because we have a law that actually mandates us to have gender and diversity programs. In fact, it's taken very seriously. That's why I was very curious listening to Camille earlier on the KPIs, because in the for government agencies and government-owned corporations or state-owned enterprises, there is a required percentage of the budget that needs to be spent for what we call the GAD, gender and diversity programs. And it's taken very seriously that if you don't spend that minimum amount, our Commission on Audit cites that as an observation, a COA observation, that it's feared by everyone in government if you have a COA citation like that, because that means you have a qualified opinion at the end of the year. So we make sure that our programs are aligned. And in fact, in the ERC, when I came in 2022, one of the observations of the Commission on Audit then was that our our focal point system has not been updated. So even the updating, they make sure that it happens. So I think it puts the onus really on everyone to take the program seriously. So that's why we are now at the next level, at the deeper level. I think that we need to make sure that we don't just spend the money that the law requires us to spend, but to spend it meaningfully. That it's not just spending for for a program just so we can tick the box, but to make sure that it's really responsive. So we have rolled out programs on financial literacy, because we are aware that women, not just women, but actually all sectors in all representations that are in our workforce carry that are not unidimensional individual. They're not just workers, they're also parents, they're also children, they're also heads of households. And financial literacy is an instrument that will help them perform better in their role so that they can also be more productive in the workplace. So those are the things that I think we are pushing for right now. And as regulators in the industry, it's something that we also promote. We cannot yet impose it on our stakeholders because the law doesn't extend that far to allow us to do that. But it's something that we promote. And hopefully by leading the way, but by showing this to our stakeholders, they're also encouraged by doing this. And it translates to something as simple as when I do site visits, for example, I visit a plant site, a generating plant. I look for the women in the control room because and I make sure that they are seen. So I thank them when I visit the control room and I see the women, in the control room. I call them out. I make sure that they are seen, and I make sure that their bosses hear it. That we are happy to see women in the control room, that we are happy to see women performing roles traditionally confined to men. So it's something as simple as that, all the way to really awarding citations for the participation of women in these roles. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for sharing that story. Sometimes you might think it's simple, but the impact that has on the women that are actually in the courtroom is actually really big. So thank you. It's a very nice anecdote. And you can see that there are similar issues, but the context obviously is, but these are common issues. Even in ADB, we have, you're going to hear from some, I think, about women in the energy sector later, but, even in ADB, it's still a male dominant. We're trying to increase the women in our hard sectors of operations, but it's still, it's just a matter of degree. Okay, so we're going to open up now a few minutes for some questions. Do we have any questions coming forward in the room or on? Do we have an app here? I'm going to get given this, but we can still do the traditional way if someone wants to put up their hand. Okay. So I think I'm meant to go with the ones. Okay, we have several actually here, and you can vote. But let me see. Okay, so maybe this is a question for you, Mona. The Regulatory Commission is an example of women breaking barriers, but we know this is an exception rather than the rule. So how do we continue to get more women into decision makers for your organization, but more broadly? And what kind of programs can an organization like ADB support?
I think there are many, definitely, but we have limited time today. But I'd like to pick up from actually one of those items in Camilla's slide, which is really the training part, the promotion, making sure that the institution provides the support within the organization for women who would like to take up leadership roles to be equipped and supported in taking up those leadership roles. It could be making sure that training programs, higher education programs are provided to them. We try that as an agency, opening it for all, but maybe something that's focused on women. But also, I think as an institution, there are a lot of things that and this is coming off from the sharing of Camille earlier on the challenges, that I realize on a personal basis that there are a lot of things that we've taken for granted, I think, in the Philippines, that we don't appreciate as much. And this is like having a legislated gender and diversity program, and the requirement also legislated that we have facilities that will allow childcare in the workplace. But these are things that we have not, again, because we have taken them for granted, we have not really improved on these facilities. So I guess those are just some two of the things that I would focus on this morning.
Thank you. I mean, as you said, it's a menu of things, but those are two the important ones. Okay, so this is a question that, I mean, it was addressed to you, Mona, but I think it applies to both of you. So maybe I can ask you to take it sequentially. So this is a question from someone who's from the Pacific, where there is a patriarchal mindset. So based on your personal experiences, how do you handle it when you are in a context that is dominated by men? Do you have any advice?
Yeah. Um, yeah. I think I also want to pick up from Mona Lisa that we have. I think probably I have taken it for granted that I have very supportive family, including my husband. So for example, actually today is a public holiday in Indonesia. We should be with our family, and I also have a baby actually. So yeah. So what I'm trying to do personally, I always want to see people see me not as a woman, but in the workplace, but see me as someone that can contribute to the company. Yeah. So that's why I try to contribute, and I try to satisfy, or I try to meet even beyond expectations of my supervisors. Uh, so they don't pick me as in certain position because I'm a woman. Yeah. Because also in our company we have targeted women representations in managerial positions. So, but they keep saying also that although we have the target, we pick a woman not because of they are women, but also they have to have the level that is needed to be put in a certain position. So that's what me and other colleagues in PLN, other female colleagues, we try to meet those expectations. So we don't want to see them because we are targeted, because women has to be targeted, not because of that, but because we can give diverse perspective, we can contribute, we can actually making our company even have long-term value, increase our long-term value. So basically that those are some culture that we have to put. So in Sri Kandi PLN we have this culture of ACT, Anggun Cerdas Tangguh. So it means we have to be smart, we have to be strong, and we also have to be at the same time um, gracious. So we have to be also look like Samantha and Mona Lisa look. So yeah, so that's what we try to pursue. Yeah, a woman in PLN. Thank you.
Interesting. ACT, we remember that. Do you have any other thoughts, Mona, about how do you smash the patriarchy?
Maybe that's a good question. That's a good framing of the question. How do you smash the patriarchy? And because I was thinking earlier that one, it's to rid yourself of the delusion that it's easy. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be handed to you in a what do you call it, silver platter, I think is the term, that you'll have to work hard for it. I think that's the first thing. And then the second is working at it brick by brick, really. Unfortunately, because it's something cultural, behavioral. It's there is no magic wand that will just all of a sudden make everything equal, and everyone. There's no magic wand that will make everybody think, or rid ourselves of preconceived notions that we grew up with. That's why it's hard. So I think it's really just taking it one day at a time, one step at a time, and being very conscious of. That's why the anecdote I shared earlier on making sure that when I do site visits, enter the control room, look for the women and make sure they are seen. It's really that diligence that will get us through the next day, and then we look for the women again and put the spotlight again on them. there's really no other way, I think.
Thank you very much. So I think we've run out of time. Is that right? We should be moving on. Oh, one last question. Okay, I'm going to take my liberty. There's one person here right in. Now he didn't. Yes. If you'd like to ask your question, could make it brief. Yeah, no one can hear you otherwise without the microphone.
Okay, hello, yeah. So good morning, everyone. So it was really nice to listen to what has been shared. So I just wanted to know that I come from Tata Power and being an electrical engineer, so I have around 3 decades of experience. So what I want to understand is that even with lot of, we know, I mean, ultimately it's a men's world, though nowadays there are many policies and all, and things are like better and more conducive as compared to the 3 decades back. But still, like I find that there is still that kind of a mindset, or there is a social acceptance, what we say, as you go high up in the ladder. Still at that level up also, there is this notion that whether the person as a female would be able to deliver or not. And in spite of the merit and all, which we would always I mean, we do it 2 times 3 times, I think everyone would agree in the hall. In spite of that, that social acceptance is not there. And as you go high, every stage you are putting it double the efforts, you go high, you go high, and at every stage you are expected to deliver again the double and keep on proving. So at times in my now, after 3 decades of experience, I really feel, is it really worth it? Is it really worth it? So so I feel, I mean, if I don't know how ADB, I mean, because since we have Samantha, director gender equality, I see. So I don't know, maybe if there can be some kind of mandates, and especially energy sector is has been a male dominated sector. So already the journey has been difficult. Now you come up the ladder and still there is, so actually I feel like, I come from Tata Power. It's a very good, like, employee friendly organization, no doubt. But I really have that question. So can ADB support in having, or maybe there are some policies that after at least the person would have proven after 2 decades, so there can be some mandate that then it becomes at least the responsibility of the corporate to see that it should not be left out just because of social acceptance. And second, if there could be some courses on this unconscious bias which happens, right? We all would agree. So it happens. So in my company, though, I always advise that, and it's happening. But at a larger forum, when we are discussing the regional, I thought I should express my thoughts on this. So if we can have this. And thirdly, I would say it is not for an individual. I think in my 3 decades, I have really gone through many departments and functions. This inclusion of women is required not for the women, it is required for the ecosystem. We talk of innovation and we talk of out of the box thinking. So a different perspective is required on the table. So I think that the teams need to recognize, and I don't know how, if ADB can support or can advise in form of policy courses or whatever it is. It's to ADB, in fact.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. I mean, that
Thank
you
you.
got some very big questions in there, but I wanted to also take advantage of, the panelists. Do you have any thoughts or reactions to what's been raised? I mean, I'm sure you can relate.
Maybe just to affirm what a lot of the things that you've said, even at this level, I've, as I mentioned, I've been appointed. I assumed this post in 2022, and my first week in the job, and we're just among friends here, that's why I can speak. Um, first week in the job, I was in a high level meeting, a high level government meeting. I was introducing myself because I was the newest appointee in the room, and one of the officials I was talking to, he said, "Oh, Energy Regulatory Commission. Oh, that's a very uh, controversial. Let me put it that way. Controversial post because there are a lot of vested interests in the sector and all that. It's a tough job." And I said, "Yes, sir. Yes, sir." And then he said, then he looked at me head to toe and then asked me, "You don't look," or well, he made a comment, not ask me. "You don't look tough. Are you tough?"
Okay.
And that's
Okay.
already after, but I was thinking, okay, maybe he doesn't know I've been around for 20 years in this sector, and he doesn't know that, all the things that I know. So I sort of just controlled myself so that I would not, come out at an outburst. So I said, well, tough is as what the job requires. So I think one thing that I've lived by is that I don't let people's perceptions define what I can deliver.
You're right.
So I am ready always to redefine their notions of what's tough, what's difficult, uh, what is loud, because sometimes that's the expectation, right? That if you're not loud enough, if you're not big enough, if you don't own the room the moment you step in, you're not fit for the job. So I'm always not just ready to prove them wrong, but I like the fact that I'm underestimated, because that means when I deliver, then and I always make sure I deliver. I guess that's the thing, competence. That's why I like what Camilla said, that it's an appointment, not just because you're a woman and they need to
Yeah,
tick the box,
definitely.
but because you really have something to contribute. So I make sure that I also contribute.
In fact, more than what, as I said, maybe twice or
Yes.
thrice. That's what is expected at least. Yeah. And just taking this opportunity,
I think we need
just
to move on. So can
just
you
to
be
share
quick?
that as a woman, I feel proud that I am the #1 position holder on the leadership dashboard of the WOA. As a woman, I thought I should share.
Oh,
Thank you.
congratulations. Thank you for sharing. I mean, happy to continue the conversation on the side, but we do need to move on. And I think that was a really nice segue, do the job, be competent, always deliver, but at the same time challenge the stereotypes as part of the journey. So please join me in thanking our two amazing speakers for the first session. And please stay with us. We're going to move on now. I'm going to hand over to Veronica for the next segment. We can move down.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Sam. Thank you, Camilla and Mona Lisa. We're going to take a picture. That was a great session. Okay, please stay with us. Stay with us. I will ask our panelists to come up for a picture as well with you. Before we move to the next session, so we can. Please join us. Yes, we can move in front. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, and an applause to Ibu Kamya, Ibu Mona Lisa, and Samantha. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you, Sam. Okay, so welcome back, everyone. And this is the second session of this deep dive. I would like to invite our panelists, please, back on stage. And also my colleague, Prabjot Khan, who is going to be moderating this next session with me. So please join us on stage. We're going to have some panelists in person and others joining online through presentations, please. Yeah, thank you very much. Okay, thanks, Prabjot. Let's dive right into this conversation with our speakers who are challenging norms, shaping high-level policies, and also on-the-ground practices on the energy transition. Welcome, everyone. I think there's a delay, yeah.
Yes, thank you so much, Veronica. We are very thrilled to have, the panel with us. We are celebrating the 20 years of ASEF. We are looking, the contribution of women, and we are also looking at, in next 20 years, where are we going to be? So I think this panel is all about that. So let's just firstly introduce our panelist. Yeah. So we have, um, we have with us from Indonesia, we have Stania Pushpa Vardini, a PhD scholar at the IPB University. She explores the work in the blockchain-based peer-to-peer solar trading in Gulmilar village in central Java. And in this community, she has worked on the decentralized energy systems that are reshaping the local livelihoods by bridging the access gaps and enhancing community resilience. And in her research, she has highlighted how women are disproportionately affected by energy poverty, and they can benefit and contribute to these emerging energy models.
And from the Pacific, we are joined by Melelupe Suakai, Senior Business Development Engineer at Tonga Power. Melelupe, thank you for being with us. Melelupe works with ADB-supported projects that are advancing Tonga's energy transition and setting benchmarks for women empowerment in the Pacific energy sector. Thank you for joining us, for taking this very long trip to be with us in Manila.
Yes, and we have Dr. Sol Zoldakova from Kazakhstan, who's unable to join us because, she couldn't travel, but she has sent her video. And Dr. Sol is actually a trailblazer in the field of green hydrogen energy and has been making significant contributions to the global transition towards sustainable and renewable energy sources. She's currently serving as an acting head of the Department of Alternative Energy and head of the Hydrogen Technologies research laboratory at KMG Engineering in Astana, Kazakhstan, where she is playing a pivotal role in shaping and executing strategic initiatives in the realm of hydrogen technology. Dr. Sol is 2024 Women in Hydrogen 50 nominee and a staunch advocate of women in STEM fields.
And we will also have a presentation by Aaron Bouchain, Country Director of the organization People in Need in Cambodia and Laos. He could not join us in person, but has sent us a video that we will be sharing shortly.
And finally, we have our very own Takmina Mukhmadova, Senior Energy Specialist from ADB. She oversees energy sector projects and programs in the Central and West Asia with a focus on public sector. And she offers insights on how gender-responsive approaches in the public sector energy projects can drive sustainable, equitable, and impactful outcomes. So we warmly welcome our panelists to this session, and we will move forward to the first part of this. We have first question for you, Stania. So your research in Gulmilar village on blockchain-based peer-to-peer solar trading shows that community buy-in is as just critical, as a technology itself. So can you share your insights? Means why, why do you think so? And if you can share with us, yes, thanks.
Yes, thank you, Prabjot. Hello, everyone. Me as a researcher at the IPB Graduate School of Natural Resources and Environmental Management Sciences, we do, as part of my dissertation research, we do community scale blockchain based peer-to-peer energy trading, and we look how women is actually impacted. My focus is actually because energy sector is really related with domestic works in community level, such as raising children's and also dishwashing, and then at night and stuff. So uh, our community level scale is actually trying to see whether this blockchain-based solar panel can have impact on 4 kinds of parameter, such as how it reduce electricity costs, how it reduce labor for domestic works, which is mostly on women's burden, and how it's reduce the time to conduct domestic works. And the last one is how the peer-to-peer energy trading can increase earnings on domestic level. So maybe some sort of this community level laboratory. We did it in 10 households. And then at that time, we see that the main beneficiaries mostly are those in the household level, both in men and women who actually can benefit from there. And then it actually reduced the labor and the time that's being given, but it's also need sometimes to learn how to use it because it's quite a new technology. Thank you.
This is actually very, very interesting, Stania, how you're linking energy, technology, and gender equality. And I think you have uploaded this work in the WOA app. So please, if you're interested, I'm definitely going to download it and going to read it because it's something that we have been trying to figure out. And if we could use blockchain to address issues such as childcare and others, or at least to measure this, would be very interesting. I think a lot of people would be interested in the room. So I will go now to Melalupe, and as we have heard from Stania, beyond technical outcomes, projects focused on clean energy transitions can also shift cultural norms and potentially open new pathways for women and girls. What has been your experience in Tonga, Melalupe? Have you seen changes on how young women perceive their role in the energy sector or in their communities?
Thank you. Absolutely, yes. And clean energy projects in Tonga are doing more than changing how we generate electricity and also help to shift cultural norms and expand what young women believe is possible. One inspiring example comes from our Outer Islands projects, where two young women play a key role on the technical team. They align gate poles, install inverters, and help bring powers to their own community. In a field traditionally dominated by men, their work was visible and meaningful breakout, and they took immense pride in bringing light into their homes and neighbors. They could have chosen office job and roles in banking sector, but they saw the impact of this project. That sense of purpose motivated them to step forward, not despite being women, but because they believe their contribution matters. Their story shows that when women see value and outcomes of clean energy work, they are just as eager and capable to lead on the ground. At Tonga Power, we also see steady progress. In March, women made up of 28% of our workforce, increased slightly to 29% in April. It is a small shift, but it reflects our intentional efforts to bring more women into technical and leadership roles, from project teams to operations. And beyond the numbers, we have supported this commitment with strong policies. Our staff manual include clear protection against discrimination and harassment, promote the equal access to training and technical roles, which aligning with regional goals like the ADB 30% female participation target for renewable energy capacity building. To make this gain truly lasting and intergenerational, inclusion must be intentional from the start. That means mentorship programs, leadership pathway, and ensure women's voices are present in decision-making rooms. Because when young girls sees a woman running a solar installation and managing a network team or leading a power project, she doesn't just see a job. She sees a future. And that's how real lasting change begins. When we empower women to power their community, we light the way for the next generation to dream even bigger. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Manolo. Thank you very much for sharing that that story and also what Tonga Power is doing. And I just wanted to comment, and you mentioned 28%, 29%. What we heard before, it was 20%. So actually you're doing quite well. And I think that focus on intentionality is also very important, as we have heard from our previous speakers. Thank you very much for sharing that.
When a young girl sees, women leading a solar power, she doesn't see a job, but she sees a future. I think that's a very important, point to underline, and it has an immense value because we see that, we are still like 1/5 in this sector, and we need to have more women. So now we go to our next panelist. We'll play a video from Dr. Saul. She's discussing what inspired her to pursue a career in hydrogen energy, which is very unconventional and remains predominantly male dominated on a global scale. And she would share with us how this challenging sector, what were her motivations to work on this sector, and how she has faced the challenges and moved forward. And she would offer us perspective on the impactful initiatives and programs that supports women in STEM and leadership are key to pursuing women in this sector. So we will now play a video from Dr. Saul.
Good afternoon, dear ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sagejo Dayakawa. I'm from Kazakhstan, representing Kimj Engineering Company. It is subsidiary of National Oil and Gas Company of Kazakhstan. On the base of Kimj Engineering, we established the first hydrogen energy competence center in Central Asia. So, of course, hydrogen energy is indeed the male-dominated sector, but for me, it started with a deep interest in clean technologies and the desire to contribute to a sustainable future of my country. My journey began during my study in Japan. I was inspired by how hydrogen was treated, not just as a source of energy, it's also can be source of water and strategic method for decarbonization. That experience motivated me to bring this knowledge home to Kazakhstan, where the topic was still new. It wasn't easy, of course. I was often the only woman in technical discussions, in the managing decision maker levels. And there were moments I questioned whether I belonged. But strong mentors, especially my Japanese professor, encouraged me to keep going, not just for myself, but for others who would come after me. So today I lead hydrogen R&D work in Kazakhstan. One of my proudest achievements, in my personal opinion, is building a team of young researchers, many of them women who are developing local solutions for hydrogen production, storage, utilization, and infrastructure. When it comes to supporting women in STEM, I believe targeted programs really help, especially mentorship, scholarships for women engineering, and leadership opportunities. But equally important is workplace culture, supporting women through career transition, including maternity. For example, currently I am in maternity leave and here is my baby. So without losing momentum is critical if we want women to stay and lead in this field. Kazakhstan is in the early stage, is poised to be a strong player in the green hydrogen economy, but to succeed, we must strike a balance between competitiveness and collaboration. We have to think about expert and local utilization potential. So we should invest in R&D that reflects our unique context, our climate, our geography, our water resources, and at the same time build partnership with global institutions to share knowledge and attract investment. I see a powerful role for women in this transition, not just engineers or researchers, but as leaders who can drive innovation, ensure inclusivity, and help shape global partnership. Because at the end of the day, the energy transition is not just a technical challenge, it's a social one. So, and women with their diverse perspectives and collaborative approach are key to making it a success. Thank you very much for attention, and I wish you fruitful forum to everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I actually really love that video because Dr. Saula is really trying to juggle both aspects, and she was so sorry that she couldn't come, but she definitely is on maternity leave. So now I would like to go to Takmina. Takmina, you are actually a gender champion within the energy sector here in ADB. So, and you have actually first-hand experience on our work on gender equality in energy projects. What are your experiences in this regard? And can you tell us what have you seen works, what we could do better?
Thank you so very much, first of all, for awarding me with the Gender Champion. So I didn't feel it exactly that way when we just started doing gender. And I should confess that, honestly, I'm working in Pakistan, and like in Central West Asia, but particularly in Pakistan. And the project that I processed as soon as I joined ADB was the first project in the transmission subsector with the transmission company that was tagged as effective gender mainstreaming. And for me, the first key lesson that I learned that integration doesn't come as default. You literally have to design tailored made intervention based on the country specificity, cultural aspects, social norms, organizational culture, institutional targets, etc. So many aspects have to be taken into account in order to design the program that can yield the results on the ground. And I'm proudly saying, although the project is still under implementation and we have still activities under Gender Action Plan ongoing, I can see the results already. First, shifting the mentality. And I was listening to the panelists, and I was like literally so proud of myself and the team. And I see my team members sitting there who were the champions. And we have the picture when we took it during our first mission in the room of 20 men. There was only one me sitting, and then we were with my project analyst and project officer, 3 of us in the company of 20 men. And it's like breaking through the social norms, traditions, and mentality that women are not part of the technical jobs and leaderships in the energy sector. We see now a vast training program completed. We see the company adopting at the stage of adaptation of the gender mainstreaming policy, which includes different aspects at the HR level, changing the internship program to attract more women. Moreover, we rolled out 2-year scholarship program just announced recently. You won't believe 300 girls applied for the scholarship. That was unexpected. Yes, it's just news that came recently. And we were just tailoring, we did the worst forecast. We said, okay, if we get 50, we will, and I remember I approached Samantha, we're not meeting our targets in the project, what are we going to do? We are getting over targets. So we see, yes.
Well done.
The thing is that the important thing is, and I'm running off time, I'll be short. I'm echoing what our panelists said and our speakers now saying. We should tailor from upstream to from up and bottom. We need to arrange that demand and supply are connected. We should invest into the women, girls, knowledge, expertise, education, in order to ensure that we have policies and we work on the upstream to make sure that policies will be, and institutions will be ready to accept these educated women at a different positions on different levels. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think this is actually a great point, and it reflects also what was said before by Mona Lisa. It's something that we do every day, and I love how you bring this from upstream. We're working on the policy aspect, but we also have to continue still doing the work at the project level and at the community level as well. So it's a full menu of things that we have to do to push for the next, beyond that 20% that we have heard this morning.
Yes, thank you so much. I think you also underscored very important point, Takmina, means I'm like really surprised that you got such a high nomination, means this was, I remember discussing the project with you, and, it was in such a socio-cultural context, and I think it's a big achievement, and we continue to do, these efforts. So speaking about the efforts now, we will, see a video. We'll take a 2 minutes pause and see a video of Aaron Bushan, who is speaking to us about Campot cooling, a groundbreaking technology solution that is helping Cambodia's world-famous Campot peppers. So Cambodia's renowned Campot pepper is increasingly threatened by extreme heat, drought, and the farmers are experiencing harvest losses up to 80%, and in the country where 75% of rural women are working in the agriculture sector, this really matters to them. So, when we talk about this solution, to address this, the Campot Cooling Innovative Technology Solution to Save Cambodia's world-famous pepper project was selected under the ADB's Technology Innovation Challenge, Rising Above the Heat, and Innovative Cooling Solutions for Rural Women in Asia. And it's implemented by People in Need UK in partnership with local farms and NGOs. So let's look at the video.
Good afternoon, distinguished guests, colleagues, and fellow advocates for gender equality. My name is Aaron Bushan, Country Director of People in Need, Cambodia and Laos. Today I'll be speaking about our work in Cambodia, where we are piloting a gender-responsive, climate-smart solution to support one of the country's most iconic agricultural products, Campot pepper, and the women who help produce it. Agriculture is the backbone of Cambodia's economy. In 2023, agriculture represented over 17% of Cambodia's GDP. Additionally, it employs a large portion of the rural population. Approximately 1.86 million households are engaged in agricultural activities, and it is estimated that women make up approximately 52% of the agricultural workforce. Rising temperatures and more frequent and prolonged heat waves are increasingly impacting the agricultural sector. This includes a reduction of crop yields, degrading soil, and strained water resources. For example, intense heat waves and prolonged droughts during the dry season significantly impacted the Campot pepper production in 2024, with some smallholder farmers losing their entire crop and pepper bushes. Additionally, heat stress is also impacting the sector's workforce. It reduces workers' ability to ensure a livelihood while also putting their health at risk. In the gender assessment conducted for this project, women smallholder pepper farmer owners and workers reported having experienced themselves or seen someone getting sick or have the following heat-related symptoms: shivering, fever, dizziness, dry eyes, exhaustion, thirst, grumpiness, and catching a cold caused by the heat. And because of systemic gender inequalities, women often have fewer opportunities to access climate adaptation resources or participate in decision-making processes. And finally, women agriculture workers also carry many, if not all, of the household home care burdens. In response to these challenges, People in Need, in collaboration with a carefully selected consortium of local partners, has launched an innovative pilot project focused on reducing the impact of heat on Campot pepper production. Soji, a women-owned Cambodian solar energy company, developed the technology solution, which is a solar-powered smart cooling and irrigation system designed specifically for smallholder pepper farmers. The technology helps regulate temperature and water use, improving crop resilience, and reducing the physical burden on women farmers. We are also working with Bentisere, a leading Cambodian women's NGO, to ensure that women are not just beneficiaries, but co-creators of the solution. Bentisere is leading the gender assessment and development and implementation of the Women Empowerment Training Series. Further, the selection of Fair Farms as one of the test plots ensures that an industry leader with strong social and environmental principles could champion project results within the farming community. In addition to the heat response technology solution, the project has strong gender empowerment approach led by Vantisserie. This includes several key components. First, women farmers will incorporate to the solution design process, technology training, and provide feedback post-installation. A gender assessment on the impacts of heat on women, the role of gender within the peppercorn value chain, and opportunities for gender mainstreaming and climate adaptation was recently conducted. Vantisserie will also conduct a 3-day leadership and decision-making training for members of the Kampot Pepper Promotion Association to strengthen women's voices in leadership roles. Another 3-day session will also be designed to focus on helping smallholder women farmers understand and respond to the specific challenges of heat stress and climate change. In building off previous successful experience, Vantisserie will also introduce a savings mechanism tailored for women farmers, helping them build financial resilience and invest in adaptation strategies. Additionally, 15 women working in Kampot Pepper value chain will be identified as champions, role models, and advocates for gender equality and climate resilience. Finally, a look at the installed technology, which includes the solar power cooling system, water distribution misters, and the irrigation system. As we look to the future, we know that the path to gender equality is not linear. It requires bold ideas, inclusive partnerships, and a willingness to listen to those most affected. My hope is that this project can serve as an example of how these aspects come together. At People in Need, we believe that climate resilience and gender justice must go hand in hand. By investing in women, we are not only protecting livelihoods, we are also unlocking the potential for entire communities to thrive. Thank you for your time, your attention, and your shared commitment to advancing gender equality.
Thank you very much to Aaron, and that was a very interesting video, also showing that link between technology, the social aspect, and really interesting technology there. So how are we doing with time? Let's move to the second round, right? Yes?
Excuse me. Yeah, so we'll just quickly go into the second round, and I'll ask, Stania. That Stania, women, often disproportionately are affected by the energy poverty, but they also stand to gain most from the inclusive energy models. So, what do how can decentralized systems like peer-to-peer solar trading can help and empower women as entrepreneurs, energy producers, and decision makers?
Yeah, so the decentralized systems that we use in our experiment in the Gumular village is actually one of quite new approach on how this blockchain-based solar energy. So it's quite very a lot of intersectional focus. First is the technology, blockchain-based solar panel, renewable energy. Second is the energy itself, the renewable energy, and the third is focus on the how it impact women, especially the household women. So hypothetically, this decentralized system can be used by many other members of the society. But what we found in our village-based empirical findings so far is first we found that men are mostly can utilize this new system because they are more familiar with how to develop this electrical connections and stuff. And the second, as what Takmina also mentions, it's specific to the community. We found the community in Central Java, especially in Banyumas province, they are more open to exchanging gender roles between men and women. So actually, they can the women are actively taking roles in society such as religious educations and also businesses. And the third one is the open-minded community because the Gumular village, which becomes our site focus of research, is also migrant labor sources, so they open to new cultures. But I also want to connect it with a larger policy on women and energy in Indonesia. If in the regional we have ASEAN Renewable Energy Gender Framework, ASEAN RE Gender Framework, in the national scale, it's actually is much more fragmented. We have RUEN or Energy National Plan, we have local energy plan, but in the intersection with gender, we also have a human rights action plan, which categorize women as vulnerable groups and needs to be understand and to be mainstreaming into greater policy, including the energy policy. What we saw in the community level, in the local village, is actually how the local government is playing roles in how to make the gender members in the community become active, become accounted, and to be put in the policies, especially in the village level, in the subnational level. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Stania. I think this, we haven't yet touched upon the local government's roles, right? We have been looking at corporate actions, community level, but yeah, indeed, this is, the subnational level is a layer that we need to be looking at much more carefully. Melelupe, let me go back to you and ask about your experience in the Pacific. You have discussed community engagement before, and this is usually the key for long-term engagement in small island nations. How, in your experience, have local communities, especially women in these communities, responded to the clean energy initiatives that you have been working with ADB projects? And what best practices from Tonga's clean energy transition could be applied to other Pacific Island nations?
Thank you. Our local community have embraced the clean energy with pride, the project that have funded by ADB. And the women have been at the right, and the women were being at the center of that success. And in our other islands, women have taken active leadership roles in local electricity societies, helping to manage the new systems and extend the services. And in some areas, energy access has supported economic activities like weaving and sea urchin processing, especially for women-led households. And even more importantly, women have provided critical feedback, influencing system design, usage of scheduling, and local priorities. So their insights have helped tailor solutions to real lived needs, making the system more efficient and sustainable. At Tonga Power, we reinforcing this approach internally. We promote gender diversity across our departments, particularly in technical roles. And our policy are designed not just to protect women's rights, but to empower them to lead and contribute fully. So the best practice we have learned is inclusion must be intentional. That means involving women from the very beginning in consultations, in trainings, and in technical roles. When women are part of the designing the solution becomes stronger and lasts. So this model is not just for Tonga, it can be adapted and applied across island nation and remote communities worldwide. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm actually really curious on the time, just because I left my watch. How are we doing, Prabhat?
I think we are almost on time.
Okay, fantastic.
Yeah. So we'll just ask, Tekmina, and it's very natural, that you're speaking after Lupe. You spoke about the social-cultural norms and and how it's difficult to work when the social cultural norms are really entrenched and women are not able to come out. But at the same time, do you think so that with the smart programming or smart projects, we can respond to some of these challenges, yeah, and bring women on board. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And being an optimist by nature, I strongly believe that we should not give up or question whether it's worth doing that. It's always worth doing that. If we don't witness that in our age, believe me, our girls, our daughters, our granddaughters will witness that. And I strongly believe that we need to do in a very gentle, smooth and polite, respectful way to break through traditional, cultural, social norms, sometimes very frequently social perception of women's role in the societies, women's being key stakeholders in the energy sector, not only as beneficiaries, not only the communities getting the electricity, but the like generators of this electricity, engineers who can fix at the community level solar panels or this pipe irrigation systems. So we need to work from the grassroots, working with the communities, changing the mentality and bringing girls in a way that they are seeing themselves in the mirror as leaders, as decision makers, being powerful to bring impact on the ground, to make the change and create a new and better generation with the gender mainstreaming being a norm in the society rather than a mandate that we were discussing at the institutional level, mandate introduced by IFIs. I'm glad we're mandating that because we can do the change on the ground. But I truly believe that we need to plant the seed now in order to see the trees coming up in the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think we are almost on time, but Veronica, we must ask, one final thought from our panelists. But do you want to take questions now?
I would like to take one or two questions if the audience has questions. Do we have something on the iPad? No. Okay. So then let's go ahead.
Yes, we are celebrating 20 years of ASEF. So I want you to think 20 years from now, what do you think, where the women would be in the clean energy landscape? And if you can just share with us in one sentence, one thing that must happen for women to shape the energy landscape. So we'll start with Stania.
One sentence.
Yeah,
One sentence.
maybe two sentences.
Several. Okay. So hopefully in the next 20 years, we're going to see women taking initiative and leading roles in determining the policies, especially in renewable energy and how it impact their life and how women's life experience and care works is no longer being ignored and being put into perspective in national policies, in the regional policies, and not going to be silenced anymore. I think that's my one sentence. Thank you.
Thank you. My one sentence would be, women must be empowered through targeted trainings, leadership opportunities, and a workplace culture that embeds gender equity into every policy and project from the very start. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
So all the sentences were taken. Yeah. So I fully echo what my colleagues has just highlighted, that education is critical. And I see ourselves in 20 years that ASAP will be opened by ADB president, woman president, probably.
Hey.
And I hope that the session will not be attended purely by men asking how to get men more into the sector and to get job opportunities. But I definitely see that in 20 years, we will think of how to create more job opportunities for women in some innovative type of jobs, because women will be bringing more new solutions. But education is critical, and I think we should start from ourselves. Do talk to your daughters, do talk to your daughters of your relatives, and support of the family is critical. from the families, we can develop the new generation of strong leaders. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your bold thoughts, you know. So I can see that the future is inclusive, resilient, and bold. And I thank you all, you know, you have been phenomenal speakers and we have learned a lot from you. Thank you so much for participating with us today.
And thank you to all of you for joining us for this conversation. It is clear that when women lead, the clean energy sector can be truly transformational. This wraps up the session. Stay inspired, stay engaged, and have a wonderful weekend, everyone. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.